This is why you should always make sure you're home alone. One day, two police officers are sitting in their car waiting for their next call. They pull over a couple cars, but nothing unusual. A couple hours later, they get a call saying a woman feels like there is somebody in her house and she is hiding. The police, thinking it's some sort of home invasion, begin to rush to the scene. They pull up to the house and notice all of their lights are off and the doors are closed. The police begin to try and open the door, but the door is locked. They decided to be quicker if they just bust a window and enter the scene. They busted the window and begin searching. One officer says, "I'll search the left of the house and you search the right," and they both agree. The officer on the right finds a bathroom door that is cracked, and as he's opening it, he hears scratching and a faint whispering in the bedroom. He stops what he's doing and opens the door to the room. He pulls out his weapon and aims it at the closet and said, "Whoever's in there, come out now." He opens the door and finds nothing. At the same time, the officer to the left says, "I found her, the house is clear."
Yo, it's 2020. How do we still not know who this is? Jack the Ripper haunted the Whitechapel district of London from 1888 to 91, killing up to 11 women and terrorizing the community. He mailed letters and sometimes body parts to the local newspaper, once stating, "Here's a liver, I fried and ate the other one." Because his victims were disfigured and often missing organs from their body, it was clear that the killer was highly skilled in human anatomy. Despite developments in crime technology, he evaded police and was never identified.
Here's a terrifying true ghost story. Two sisters were staying at a very old historic hotel in the middle of nowhere in Montana. The hotel had been around since the 1800s. It was one of the sisters' favorite hotels, and they've been multiple times. However, the other sister couldn't sleep because all she heard was someone walking around upstairs on hardwood floors, pacing around the room. In the morning, I asked my sister how she could have slept through it, and she told me that above, it used to be a ballroom where people used to dance, but now it was carpeted and empty. There was no hardwood floors. I asked the hotel staff, and then that's when they confirmed that there was nobody up there, and if there was, I wouldn't have heard high heels on hardwood floors.
This is why you should be careful what you put in the mail. In 2015, a man was asked by his neighbor to collect his mail while he was gone for a few weeks. A few days later, a large package arrives on his neighbor's front porch. The man can barely lift it, but gets over to his garage where he accidentally drops it and hears something break inside. Hoping his neighbor would think the damage occurred en route, he closes his squeaky garage door and forgets about it. But over the next couple of days, whatever was in that package started to smell so bad that he decides to open it up. Inside were two very important finds: his neighbor, who was dead, and a camera that was still recording. The police bring the man in for questioning and show him what was on the camera inside the box. It starts with his neighbor talking to the camera about how excited he is to mail himself home for his YouTube channel. Then police fast forward to the very end where they see that the neighbor is now sleeping in the box, and then suddenly gets dropped and you hear a crack, and that's his neck breaking. And then you hear a squeaky garage door close.
Urban legends to haunt you, the kidney heist. A man decided to go out one night on a date. He hadn't been out in a long time and he was really excited to meet this beautiful girl that he had met online. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary and he even paid for a dinner. He thought it was going great. However, the next day he thought maybe he just had too much to drink and he woke up in a bathtub. But then he was looking around and noticed that he was surrounded by ice. As he starts waking up and coming to his senses, he begins freaking out. He notices one of his kidneys are gone.
If you see this in Chuck E. Cheese, you need to leave immediately. So many of the workers at Chuck E. Cheese were reporting that these animatronics are coming alive by itself. Now never go to Chuck E. Cheese during the late night. If you don't see these animatronics on the stage and they're off, please run for your life. Many of the workers say that these robots come alive at night and have been taking children from their parents.
These TikTokers accidentally found a body. There's a popular app right now on TikTok called Randonautica that sends you to random locations in your area. Some people find random abandoned places. Some people even found random weird things in the forest. These group of teens were led to a suitcase. But the thing is, when they opened the suitcase, it was a dead body inside.
Wait, open it. It stinks, y'all.
When they opened the suitcase with a stick, it had a horrible stench, later calling the cops, who confirmed there was dead body parts inside.
This is why you should always trust your gut. In the early 1970s, a college student decided to hitchhike his way home after class. A car pulls up, a man offers him a ride, and he climbs in. As soon as the car started moving, the student felt totally uneasy, like something was wrong but he couldn't quite place it. Without saying anything, he waited till the next time they slowed down and he flung the door open and ran away. 2 years later, he's flicking through TV channels when he comes across this special interview with a death row inmate, and it's just the audio recording, so he hears the interviewer ask the inmate, "Why did you remove all the door handles inside of your car?" The man just goes, "Well, the first time I tried to kill someone, I picked up a college hitchhiker who got smart at some point and jumped out of my car. So, lesson learned, remove all the door handles." When they showed his picture, the student knew immediately that he was supposed to be the first victim of John Wayne Gacy, aka the Killer Clown, who had killed over 30 men and boys in his clown room and stuffed them into his basement.
If someone calls out your name at night, you might not want to answer after watching this. As a kid, I was told stories about the legend of the night caller, and it was believed that if someone calls out your name in the middle of the night and you respond, a demon would appear out of nowhere and take you away. According to lore, a young girl stayed up late in her room when she heard her mom call out to her. The voice was so faint that she stopped what she was doing to listen closely. And again, she heard her mom's voice calling out to her. She responded, and almost immediately, her door, which was already closed, slowly opened, and someone was standing at the foot of the door. It was dark, and she couldn't make out the features of this person, but it had the form of her mom. The shadow figure then asked the girl to follow her. Thinking it was her mom, she got up and followed. The next day, a search began, but the little girl was never found. Coincidentally, most of the kids in the neighborhood claimed that they heard a voice call out to them that same night, but they were too scared to answer, and that is why
these are the strangest things that have ever been caught on camera. This video shows what appears to be a dark humanoid type creature crawling towards a bunch of boys playing soccer. Once the kids see it, they immediately run away in terror. Nobody knows for sure what this animal was, but many people claim that it was the South American mythical beast known as the Pombero. This next video was taken at the funeral of a 7-year-old girl. It shows one of the balloons that was next to her coffin somehow floating directly to her crying mother in the audience. Many people believe that this was the girl trying to comfort her mother from the grave.
The picture behind me might look like a normal photo, but it's actually one of the most sinister, real-life haunted photos in history. Taken by a professional photographer in 1972 as guests arrived for a wedding, everything in this picture looks happy and normal. But if you take a closer look at the man standing in black, you'll see something odd. You can actually see somebody in white crouching behind the man. All 4 of the people in the picture said that there was no one behind them when it was taken. The photographer said the same thing, and that it would be impossible for someone to crouch behind them without him seeing them. This is a better picture where you can actually see the guy's legs, and then in the top you can see his eyes. The picture was even examined by police photographers, and they confirmed that it was genuine.
This is the creepy story of Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer was once a normal boy named Jeff, and he had just moved to a new town with his family. One night, 3 teenagers attacked him at an outdoor party, and his face got severely burned. But he was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. A couple days later, when he got his bandages off, his face was horribly deformed. He loved it, he said. It was perfect for his brand new personality. Jeff decided that he loved his face so much that he didn't want to stop looking at it. He didn't even want to blink, so he burned his eyelids off. And he never wanted to stop smiling, so he gave himself a permanent smile. That same night, Jeff murdered his family, but now he runs around killing little children with a knife.
Miroir, dis-moi qui est le plus beau, qui t'a devenir mégalo. Viens donc chatouiller mon ego. Allez, allez, allez.
This is why you should always lock your front doors. A kid living with both of his parents decided to watch a movie for their family weekly movie night. He then gets up to use the restroom. As he is in the restroom, he sees all of the power in the house cuts off, and then he hears 2 loud thumps. He locks the bathroom door and hears heavy objects being dragged across the hallway. The kid, freaking out, runs out of the bathroom and runs into the restroom. Once he is inside the room, he locks the door. As he locks the door, he jumps in bed and acts like he's asleep in hopes that this person who is in the house will ignore a child sleeping. He closes his eyes and hears the door creak at the same time. He squints his eyes and sees a man with no eyes dragging the bodies of both of his parents. The man dragging his parents sits his mom's dead body in a chair facing him, and then sets the dad's body on the floor facing up. It was almost like whoever was in the house who killed them wanted him to see it. He then sees the man writing something on the wall and then climbs under his bed. He laid there for hours knowing that if he moved a muscle, he would end up just like his parents. He finally built up enough courage to read the wall, and the writing on the wall said, "I know you're awake."
This is why you should always lock your doors. A junior in high school was home alone working on a paper while his parents were out to dinner. All night he sits with his back to his door, sitting at his desk with his noise-canceling headphones on. Around 11 o'clock he takes his headphones off at the same time his parents are returning to the house, and he hears his mom from downstairs yell, "Hey Adrian, what happened?" Confused, he runs downstairs and sees right away what she's looking at, muddy footprints all over the rug. He tells her, "I didn't leave my desk." And then they realize someone must have broken in. They look at the footprints and there's none leaving the house. They're worried someone's still in the house, so they run into the garage, terrified, call the police. Police arrive and they don't find anyone in the house, but they do make a chilling discovery upstairs. The police bring them to the kid's bedroom door, which had been left open all night, and they point to the message written on it in Sharpie. This is the actual transcript of what was written on his door, which means for nearly 2 hours, someone stood in this kid's doorway watching him. This is a highly controversial topic. In 2016, a man posted on Facebook that the local police were going to kill him that weekend. That weekend, he died under very suspicious circumstances that we will get to. Immediately following his death, his YouTube page, which contained footage from his home's camera system, went viral. One of his videos shows a large group of police officers standing in front of his house for no apparent reason in the middle of the night. Others show what he claims to be plainclothes police officers casing his property. But the most talked about video is the one where the van shows up in front of his house, revealing a guy with a fairly high-tech camera who just starts filming his house. The man was found dead in his home after it had burned down, and he was found to have stab wounds on his back and his stomach. His death was determined to be self-inflicted. However, the debate rages on online. What happened to John Lang?
These videos may seem innocent, but actually have a terrifying backstory. This video shows a man playing Dance Dance Revolution while some teens unknowingly record him and make fun of him. 6 months after this video was taken, the man, Adam Lanza, would shoot his own mother 4 times in the head while sleeping, then drive to Sandy Hook Elementary School where he murdered 23 people. This video shows magician Tommy Cooper having a heart attack on live TV. The audience, as well as his assistant, thought it was part of the show, so they laughed along as he died on stage. This video shows a popular CSGO streamer showing off his new McLaren. However, he was banned from streaming a week later for hacking, and this caused him to have a mental breakdown. So he purposely crashed his car into another van, killing himself, a mother, and her child. This video shows a band performing minutes before the venue burnt down and killed everyone inside. Even creepier, the band's name was Burn.
Scariest urban legends from every state. Texas, the Candy Lady. In the 1900s, children in an unnamed rural town began to go missing, and people were blaming it on the Candy Lady. The story says that she would go around leaving candy on children's windowsills, and she would be able to lure them in by leaving notes promising more candy. This story picked up steam when a farmer found rotted teeth on his farm and eventually found the dead body of a boy with candy stuffed in his pocket. While little is known about the origin of this story, many claim that the Candy Lady is real, and her name was Clara Crane. Whichever state gets the most likes, I'll do tomorrow.
This story is called The Haunted Birthday Party. Samuel died on the 26th of November 2003 from a terrible accident, and only 3 years has passed since his death. But this isn't about Samuel, it's about his little sister Alice, who today is having her 6th birthday party. What's crazy for Alice is her brother Samuel died the day of his birthday 3 years ago. But as her first friend arrives, her stomach drops as she looks out and sees a single red balloon on the letterbox. You see, red was Samuel's favourite colour, and the house was full of red balloons on his birthday. But when they found him strangled to death by the string of the balloon on the very morning of his birthday, they swore to never have a red balloon in the house again. But as a new guest would arrive, so did a red balloon. Her friends were so oblivious to this, they just kept chasing the red balloons around the house. But 6 of Alice's friends died that day, all strangled to death by the string on a red balloon. The house has now been vacant for 10 years, but the local kids say they still see a red balloon in the windows.
Pictures taken right before death. First, we have this 18-year-old girl who wanted to get the most extreme selfie, so she climbed up a bridge which was about 30 feet high. And then she fell off, but it wasn't the fall that killed her. It was on her way down, she grabbed some electrical wires and they electrocuted her. This picture was actually taken by a guy who was just testing out the new camera that he got, and it shows this 14-year-old boy literally flying out of a plane. It turns out he was hidden in the plane wheels, and during takeoff he somehow fell out and it was caught on camera. This looks like your typical best friend picture before a night out, right? Except the night would end in disaster, with one of them using the belt she was wearing to strangle the other, and she then blamed it on being intoxicated and said she couldn't remember anything of the night anyways.
This is the Dark Mirror, and it's one of the most haunted items in the world. The original owner of this mirror purchased it at a psychic fair, but immediately claimed that there was something very evil about it. So she donated it to a traveling museum for the paranormal. This museum has a whole bunch of different paranormal objects, but the Dark Mirror is by far the most horrifying. The museum actually has to keep the mirror covered and tell people that if they're going to look into it, they have to do so at their own risk. Because the people who are brave enough almost always regret it. The people who have looked into the mirror claim to feel an immediate sense of doom and depression. But for others, it was far more horrifying. Some claim to see their own facial expressions warp and twist, and others would look into it and see their own dead body. The people who hold the mirror claim to feel a strange sense of electricity. And every night, the museum workers cover up the mirror. Every morning, they find it mysteriously uncovered.